Hello everybody, this is AJ with Rack and Torn Animation, and today I'm going to talk about just some editing in Premiere and the basics of Premiere. Adobe Premiere is the editing software that we use for all of our projects that we do that are video based. We do some editing in Premiere, and I use Premiere a decent amount in my own projects as well. I think it's a really great program, and I just love to go over it today. So I got some stuff pulled up here. This is all just stock footage that Adobe Premiere gives you when you have the program. To import your own stuff or to import other types of videos and images and stuff like that, you just go to import, which is the screen that starts you off when you open the program. And you can import, you can like go through your different documents and downloads and other things you would have on your computer, and you can import everything through here by just clicking on it and hitting import on the bottom there, and it'll create a sequence, and it'll pretty much set you up ready to go. So this is our overall editing scene. This is kind of what you'll be looking at mostly. Lots of different stuff you can do in this window. I'm just going to go over some of the basics today and what I typically do when I edit videos. First, I'm going to go over kind of the stuff on the left side here. These are your basic tools that you'll be pretty much using for any project that you get into. So first up is your selection tool, also V on the keyboard. That's the quick command. If you have any of these other tools selected and you hit V on the keyboard, it'll bring you right to that selection tool. And basically what that means when that's selected is whenever you're in the actual scene with the clips, you will have your selection tool available, so you can select individual clips. If you hold shift and left click, you can actually select certain videos, and you can take these and move them around, just like that. The selection tool can also be used on clips to shorten them by just dragging the ends of that clip, and that will take out pretty much all of the footage that is in that part. So you kind of have to be careful and mindful of what you're actually moving. So if you don't actually want to see the last couple seconds of this clip, that's a way to do that. So that's your basically your standard just overall selection tool. Whenever you're not in this overall scene, you will have basically just a mouse to click on everything. No matter what tool you have selected, it won't matter. As long as you're clicking anywhere else, it will be a mouse tool, so it doesn't interfere with how you're selecting things. So next up is the track select forward tool, also A on the keyboard. I don't use this tool too much. It's kind of useful. I usually just end up using the mouse and selecting everything. This is basically just another way to do that basically. It creates these two double arrows, and basically what it means is any clip you click on and every clip to the right of that clip will get selected. So it's a really easy way to mass select every clip. And if you hold down the track select forward tool, you will actually get a track select backward tool as well. And basically it does the same thing but the opposite. So if you just want this clip and every clip to the left of it, you can click there and it will deselect these clips, so it will only grab these ones. So then once those are selected, you can come back to your selection tool, and then you can hold down left click and you can move them around as you see fit. The ripple edit tool is also just a really nice standard quality of life tool. It really just helps with editing. It's not a super major tool that changes too much. Basically what this tool does is it allows us to grab either the beginning or the end of a clip, and it allows us to move it like we can before. It works pretty much the same way, except it will actually bring the clip it's attached to on the side with it. That way it doesn't create this space where there's just nothing in between, and you'd have to manually move that, basically adjust that itself, which is really nice. Just a really nice quality of life tool, and that's B for the quick select. So this next tool, the razor tool, or C on the keyboard, this is basically like your clip split tool. Whenever you want to cut out a certain piece, instead of grabbing the edge of a clip with the selection tool and bringing it over to where you want to erase, I usually just find a spot I want to cut out, and I grab the razor tool and I click that, and it'll create that little cut. Then what I can do is I can hit V again to get my selection tool back, and I can simply just click that clip and delete it. Another great use of the razor is that if you want to basically keep an entire clip, but you want certain parts of it to be edited differently, that is actually another great use of the razor tool, because if you basically split these clips, it's essentially still attached. The timeline will not change at all, but you can adjust them both differently as if they were two different clips. Next up is the slip and slide tool. Basically, it just gives you more overall control of the clips you're working with if you really want to get serious with the editing with it. Basically, to kind of show off what the tool does, I am actually going to reduce the length of this clip a little bit, and I'm actually going to use our ripple edit tool. And as a little tip, if you have your selection tool currently enabled, and instead of just clicking on ripple edit by B, you can also hold command and then drag, and that will also work as a ripple edit effect. So this clip is now shortened, but I definitely wanted to keep some of that cloudiness at the end of that clip that was originally there. So what I can actually do is I can grab the slip tool, and I can actually left click and kind of drag this clip around. And what it does is it creates two basically frames of reference, one on the left and one on the right. The left is showing the beginning of the clip, and the right is showing the end. And as you can see, that end right there, we can kind of see that cloudiness come back. So I'm actually going to drag it to right about there. So now what it does is it keeps the clip's length and position in the timeline, but it will actually move the actual data in the clip around. So now this cloudiness is happening at the end. So we kind of lost some of that stuff in the beginning, but I don't care too much about that because I definitely want to get more of that cloudiness in the clip. The slide tool is kind of similar in that it really allows you to adjust the sequence's timeline, and you can really adjust and shorten and lengthen the lengths of clips. But I feel like it's kind of a loose editing option, so I don't really like to use it. So next up is actually going to be mainly our creation tools, shape creation tools in Premiere. So Premiere kind of allows you to create simple shapes for videos, whether you'd want it like a line or maybe like a box to put like a name in for in interviewee. So first is the pen tool. You can create really like any shape you really want, and it kind of fills in. Up here at the left top, you can click down this arrow right here on shape 1. It's the shape you just created, and it gives you a bunch of options in terms of color, stroke if you want to have a fill or not. It gives you shadow, gives you all these different basically effect controls to work with. And next is actually more just like standard shape tools, rectangle tools, so you don't have to make your own rectangle with the pen tool. You can make an ellipse tool as well, so you can create circles. You hold down shift, or you can just make ovals. And there's the polygon tool, which allows you to create different shapes, more unique shapes like triangles and so forth. So next up is your hand tool and your zoom tool. This is a tool mainly just for navigating your timeline, not really much for manipulating it in any way. With the hand tool, you can actually move the timeline around to get further down or to bring you back. You can also grab the zoom tool. If you click on any of your clips, it will actually zoom in on that clip, so you can get a closer view of where you're actually like making cuts, where your audio is spiking, if there is any audio. You can also control how much you zoom in and out of your timeline with this tool at the bottom here. And lastly is our type tool. So this is your basic way of adding type to any one of your clips. It will create this little pink graphic right here, which you can adjust pretty much to fit any length of time you want. You can also hit V, and that will give you more control of the placement of your type tool. And all the text options are going to be up here in the left again, and that will give you things like what your font is, what kind of text it is, the alignment. It gives you tons of options to control your text. And the other part of this tool is the vertical type tool, which basically works the way you think. It types vertically. So the effect controls aren't limited to just the working with shapes and text, but you can also adjust the actual effects of a clip you click on right over here. So once a clip is selected, you can actually adjust all these different things like the position of the clip, the scale of the clip to zoom in and out, rotation. You can adjust opacity of the clip. You can adjust the audio of the clip here as well. And much like After Effects, Premiere actually gives you some pretty decent animating options as well when it comes to working with your clips. So if you want like a fade in at the beginning of your overall of all your clips, you can basically adjust the opacity here. We can switch that to 0 really quick without animating anything first. Then we can hit that toggle animation button like that. And then we can let the video play for a second or two. And now we can switch this to 100% again. So now we have like a 2-second fade into our clip, which is really nice. It's also good to keep in mind that Premiere also comes with its own plethora of effects that you can add to your clips. Right here is our effects panel, and we get audio effects, audio transitions, video effects, video transitions, tons of stuff that we can use in our project. So if I type in something like a blur, we can get a nice Gaussian blur to put on our clip. We can click on the effect and drag it to a clip, or we can drag it over here as well. And there it is, our Gaussian blur is now added. If we hit this FX button, that toggles it on and off. So I'm actually going to adjust the blurriness to 35 right there. So now that clip is blurry. So once you get to the point where you're pretty happy with how your overall sequence is turned out, if you've done enough editing, then you can actually move on to exporting out the video. And all you gotta do is you can go to the top and go to File and Export Media, or with this newer version of Premiere, you can actually now just hit this export button and it'll bring you to this screen. And now you can actually rename your file. You can save wherever you want it to save. You can change what kind of quality setting it gets saved out to, and you can also change its format. Tons of other options are available as well, but these are really the basic options you can go with, and then all you have to do is hit export, and that will take some time, but that is how you export videos and get the actual MP4 of the entire sequence created. So I think I hit a lot of the main stuff with the overall editing. Of course, there's tons more in Premiere that I didn't cover, that I don't even fully understand yet, because it's such a huge and interesting working space to be in. I think it's really cool, and hopefully if this is the first time you're using this editing software, then this tutorial would have helped you at least a little bit understanding how to further create videos. Yeah, thanks again for watching, and I hope you have a good day.